Sunny Radio, where it's always in the 80s. Thank you so much for listening to Partners in Education, brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and The Bakery. Right now, we've got a special guest on the line, Eric Miller with Keystone Treatment Center. Hello, sir. How are you?
Oh, hi, John. Very good. How are you, sir?
Very good. I'd be better if you were in the studio with me, but I'm always glad to chat with you, even if it is over the telephone. So thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
And we've got a fun program coming up later today. We're going to be visiting on the program here with Matt Walls, and we're going to be visiting with Mark Lawrenson, and we're also going to try to connect with John Kelly. But right now, let's visit a little bit with Eric about what's happening at Keystone Treatment Center right now.
Well, we're just kind of coming out of the summer months now, and so, a lot of the students are back in the normal school schedule, so it's normally a time for us to kind of take a deep breath. I wish that maybe was the case, but we've just continued to have, through the roof demand for service. And, I'm really glad for that we have the service that we can provide. But, just the breadth of, the scope of the issue of people out there that are dealing with alcoholism and addiction issues, it just never ceases to amaze me. And I think we could have, treatment centers, and we do, spread across the country. And it just seems at times that we only scratch the surface on the need out there. So obviously our center is full, as it has been now consistently for a good part of this year. And that family group going on here again, and that always warms my heart when we're able to reach out and offer that service and get the families in and give them some of the same hope that hopefully their loved one or significant other is gaining through our process. So just looking forward to the fall. Yeah.
Let's say that also helps for them to understand the process and for them to be a useful tool and a support system when the people come from the program back into the real world and into their homes and into their lives.
Absolutely. And, addiction doesn't operate in a vacuum. So, they estimate, and I think that, Dr. Kelly had talked about that last month about, for every addicted person, there's 10 individuals that are drastically impacted, whether that be family, work, community, but, not just impacted in some way, but in a very significant way. We at Keystone, we have for many years, we look at this as much more of a system issue and that impact, and we try to do everything we can to attack it on every level we can. So, very proud of that. And with this segment coming up, the second part of our kind of venture through the 12 steps of recovery, I'm just extremely excited to have not only a tremendous individual that has dedicated a good deal of the past 30 years into helping individuals and families, but he's become a good friend over those 30 years, and I could think of no one more qualified or better able to kind of present an overview of the 12 steps as a practical application for recovery from all forms of addiction. So really excited about the program coming up.
And Mark Lawrenson will be on the program with us later today. And I want to remind you, Partners in Education has a different time tomorrow. I know a lot of folks are used to this being at 11 o'clock and 11:30 going over the noon hour. Tomorrow it's actually in the evening. Going to try something a little different this month and see if that helps. I know there's some people that will be able to make it this month that maybe can't make it in other months. So 5:30 they're going to have heavy hors d'oeuvres. 6 p.m. is when the presentation will begin, and then 7:30 is when that wraps up, and they'll have the best part, the networking and the fellowship. Part of what we were trying to do is that, beginning on Wednesday of this week through Friday is our SADAP annual conference, which is our South Dakota Association of Addiction Professionals. That's taking part here in Mitchell this week, and part of our normal noon hour is that's kind of scheduled over some of what, they're trying to accomplish out there in Mitchell. And so we coordinated with them this month
to do an evening presentation that we're actually going to stream into the conference in Mitchell and offer that in the CEUs that go with that as part of that conference at no charge to the participants. So we're excited about working with CDAP and providing that service to them. And then we also know that a lot of times work schedules, because we will be reaching out more at the bakery to a lot of the recovery communities and people to be involved. And a lot of those folks work normal day hours, and they should be able then to attend in the evening. And so we're looking for a great turnout both at the bakery as well as our online streaming, specifically out in Mitchell at CDAP conference. So pretty excited about everybody that's going to be tuning in. It's one of the things I think John, and what the bakery provides us and why we value our partnership so much. It's because of the megaphone, the technology that it gives Keystone and gives Acadia, and gives these individuals who have critical information to get out to the public. They give us the channels to do so, and we're just excited and look forward to continuing that partnership with the bakery too.
It's a very good location to have the meetings, and again, tomorrow night, rather than tomorrow noon hour, tomorrow night, 5:30, heavy hors d'oeuvres, and of course pie, since it's pie at the bakery. And then
we always have pie. Yeah, always have pie.
And then presentation starts at 6, and then networking and fellowship at 7:30. And the bakery is at 910 North Main Avenue in Sioux Falls. Now, if you can't make it there, you can stream it live anywhere all around the world at thebakerysf.com/live. And we'll have all of that, the details on this throughout the program here as well. So stick around. We're going to be chatting with coming up in a moment with Matt Walls. Eric, thank you again for chatting with me. Can I call you again at the end of the program here and wrap things up?
Yeah, look forward to it, John. Thank you.
Very cool. Well, I'm going to make some more calls here, and I've got Eric on the line right now, but we'll have Matt coming in the studio in just a moment, and then we'll be reaching out to Mark Lawrenson, and like I said, we're going to attempt to connect with John Kelly as well. A lot of stuff coming your way on Partners in Education on Sunny Radio.
Join us for Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the bakery. This Thursday, we'll have another slice of pie with the topic 12-Step Recovery, Practical Approach, Proven Results. Listen to guest speaker Mark Lawrenson as he talks about his experience and his decision he made 32 years ago that has completely changed his life and has helped him help others as well. This month's program is on Thursday evening from 6 p.m. to 7:30 at the bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. This event is free and even counts towards continuing education units with 1.5 CEUs from NADAC. If you or someone you know has an addiction, Keystone Treatment Center would like to help. Chances are your addiction will not go away on its own. Get the pain to stop and let the freedom begin. It starts with a call, 1-844-204-1055. That's toll free, 1-844-204-1055. Join us for Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education. This event is free and we'll even have pie. This Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7:30, come early for pie and hors d'oeuvres starting at 5:30. The bakery is located at 910 North Main Avenue in downtown Sioux Falls, or log in and watch the live streaming at thebakerysf.com/live.
And we are back with Partners in Education, and joining me right now, I have Matt Walls. How are you, sir?
I'm great, John. How are you?
Very good. Now, what is your official title? Because I want to make sure we say that, because I have you on here every month, but we never really officially introduce who you are and who you're with and what you do.
Well, I wear a lot of hats, John. You know this.
I do know that.
So one of the hats I wear, my most official one, is I'm the South Dakota, North Dakota Territory Representative for Keystone Treatment Center.
It just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah, so what that means is I work with therapists and doctors and anybody who's trying to connect with treatment services in South Dakota and North Dakota.
Very nice.
So, and my job is mainly as kind of air traffic control. Like if you need addiction service or addiction treatment service, but you also have an eating disorder. Okay. Well, Keystone's probably not the right place for that, but I know people in other centers that do that.
So you kind of steer people in the right direction.
I try very hard to get them to the right resources. Sometimes the resources don't exist or they're too far or whatever, but my goal is always to make those connections and to help them get the best care that they can right now.
Nice. Now you have some other hats too.
My other hats are I also do public policy lobbying on the Jason Foundation type of stuff to prevent teen suicide, and I'm also the Jason Foundation representative, so I help with suicide trainings or suicide prevention trainings and other things related to preventing suicide, including our Partners in Education events.
Very nice. And that's kind of how, when we first met, we started working together on Partners in Education. We were talking a lot about the Jason Foundation and some great things that happened with the Jason Flatt Act in this last year. I mean, some really good stuff in South Dakota.
Yeah, I mean, we passed the Jason Flatt Act last session in Pierre, and the Jason Flatt Act, as you remember, is to train teachers on warning signs related to suicide prevention, because so many kids need help, but they're with their teachers most of the day, or many of them.
Yeah.
And so if the teachers know what to look for in terms of emotional issues and other things that are warning signs, very clear warning signs, which we know that 4 out of 5 teens who are considering suicide give clear warning signs.
Yeah.
And if teachers know what to look for, then maybe they can intervene before tragedy strikes, or at least will increase the chance. They did it in Tennessee, and they reduced the rate of teen suicide. Within 3 years, they reduced it by 28%.
That's huge. These are lives we're talking about.
Yeah.
Hundreds of lives that we're talking about. So what a huge, huge thing
so it's a good
to have
bill.
that spread all across the country.
Yeah, we passed it in South Dakota last year, and they've just begun implementation,
nice.
Which is a really cool thing. They started implementation in July with rolling out, these are the trainings that are acceptable under the Department of Ed guidelines, and they put out their guidelines. And now teachers are beginning to get that training, both online and in person on the in-service style training. Awesome. And we're getting very good feedback. I know it'll be a learning curve. Whenever you do something new, there's a learning curve.
Well, something that it just struck home to me this weekend. I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now, but I was watching the news on Sunday with the tragedy that happened in New York and what happened in Minnesota, and they said something that I've heard it said so many times before, but when they said it, it just rang true to me. They said, if you see something, say something. You know, they kept talking about, hey, this is so important. If you see something, say something. And that is completely transferable to this as well. You know, if you know somebody that you're seeing some signs, but that's where it's so imperative to have the training to even know what to look for. How do you know if you're seeing something if you don't know what to look for?
That's right.
Now the teachers will have the training to know what to look for. So if they do see something, they can say something. And I just thought, what a great way for people who are literally on the front line working with these students every single day to have the ability to see, to be able to identify the signs when they come up. So yes. I'm excited, and again, these are lives we're talking about. You know, each and every one of these are people, and you know, in the last year we lost a friend to teen suicide. You know, this is such a sad thing that anybody would lose anyone. But we're so proud of what you're doing and what the folks with the Jason Flatt Foundation and the Jason Flatt Act, I guess it's the Jason Foundation, what they're doing here in the state of South Dakota needs to be commended. So thank you for what you're doing.
Well, A+. Thank you, John. And that if you see something, say something
definitely
is a great tagline. I haven't thought we kind of call it the silent epidemic of teen suicide, because a lot of times we don't say anything.
Yeah.
We don't want to acknowledge it. We don't we don't talk about it. And I think talking about it, bringing it out of the shadows, creating that awareness, and being able to see something and know what you're seeing and also say something.
Yeah.
And by that I mean refer appropriately.
Exactly.
You know, find that kid who's struggling, who may be considering suicide, and get that child or that young person, or maybe it's an adult friend, into appropriate care. Yeah. Because, the bottom line is nobody who's considering suicide really wants to die. Yeah. They're just feeling pain, and they want that pain to go away. And suicide, in the moment, can seem like a very attractive option.
Yeah, it's not the right answer. Please don't do that.
That's right.
Seek the help that is out there for you, and that's one of the things that we're excited to talk about here on Partners in Education. Now, this month we're talking about a little different aspect of what you do with the folks there at Keystone Treatment Center. I'm really excited. Later in the program here, we're going to be visiting with a man by the name of Mark Lawrenson about 12-step recovery, practical approach, proven results, and we'll get to that info in a second. But let's talk about what we missed last month. John Kelly had a great program about the science behind the 12 steps, and you paid very close attention and took good notes, didn't you?
I did. Dr. John Kelly is a Harvard professor who has studied very meticulously the science behind the 12 steps and other mutual support recovery groups. And for me, I know that the 12 steps work. I know that recovery works. But I'm a data guy, and I always want to ask the question, why?
Yeah.
And how do we know? And what Dr. Kelly has done is he's done extensive research. He's written so many papers I can't even count them on the rates of recovery, on different types of recovery methodologies and all of this stuff. And it gets pretty heady if you're a data nut like me. Yeah. So I try to keep it very simple. But the bottom line is that AA and other mutual help support services work exponentially better than doing nothing.
Yeah.
Because we know a lot about addiction and why people become addicted and how people become addicted, what they become addicted to. But on the recovery side, a lot of times we haven't done that research. John Kelly's done the research. It's phenomenal. He's found that AA, the 12 steps, including other mutual help organizations, and by that I mean Smart Recovery, Celebrate Recovery, and other types of non-12-step models, he kind of combines all that data together and finds that when people are connected to other like-minded individuals, working a program of action, right, not just going to their meetings for a while, but actually doing what they say and doing that action, that what they find is they find better recovery, they find better long-term options, and their long-term health care costs go down. Societal costs to taxpayers due to addiction go way down.
Nice.
And rates of recovery go way up when people are engaged in those programs.
So it's not just knowing about the program, but you actually have to attend and do the things. It's like having a gym membership doesn't help you lose weight. Going to the gym and using the membership is what helps. So you can't say, well, I pay the dues. Why haven't I lost any weight? You actually have to go to the meetings and be a part of this. And if you plug into that process, you're going to see the results. If you don't plug into the process, it's probably not going to work as well.
There's a saying, too, that I can't think my way into right acting. I have to act my way into right thinking.
Definitely.
If I'm going to change my thought process, if I'm going to change the way that I do things, I've got to start by changing my actions. And those things are not always easy to understand because most addicts and alcoholics believe that they can think their way into recovery by just changing their thinking with their thinking.
Yeah.
But that, honestly, I don't see a lot of result from that, especially from those who are severely addicted.
Definitely. Now, that kind of leads us right into the program for this month, coming up tomorrow. And again, a reminder, it's not over the noon hour tomorrow. Instead, it's from 6 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. tomorrow at the bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. And another reminder that there is a really nice benefit for those of you who are looking for the CEUs available from NADAC. There's 1.5 CEUs available. And like I like to say, if you don't know what that means, then it doesn't apply to you. But if you know what that means and it does apply to you, that is good news. And again, the event is starting at 5:30 with some hors d'oeuvres and some pie. And then the actual program starts at 6 p.m., and then there's a program that goes right up until about 7:30, and afterwards is just as important as the program is the networking and the fellowship, where you get to sit and visit with other like-minded people and maybe make some connections that you might not have made by not going. So you can certainly watch it online. There's a live stream you can watch online, but being there is, in my opinion, so much better for that very reason, for the two reasons. You get pie, first of all.
Yeah.
You can eat pie at home, I guess, if you're watching at home, but the networking is something that you can't really get without being there, so I encourage you to be there. Let's talk about the program tomorrow. Partners in Education, 12-Step Recovery, Practical Approach, Proven Results. We're going to be visiting with Mark Lawrenson here in a bit, but give me a little snapshot of what we can expect from tomorrow.
Well, John Kelly described, as we talked about, Dr. Kelly described why the 12 steps work. Mark Lawrenson is going to talk about the 12 steps in action.
Nice.
How do we do it in our lives in a practical way? And he's got a lot of expertise in this area. He's got 32 years of continuous sobriety himself, and he's known as kind of a national speaker and regional speaker on these issues. And he's just a dynamite guy. He's a lot of fun. He tells a lot of jokes. He and I share a sense of humor.
Oh, good.
That some other people do not understand. But I just really love Mark.
I like him already because I like your sense of humor.
So. Oh, you do? Okay. Well, I have an odd sense of humor. Some
That's
people do not get it. But Mark Lawrenson and I share that.
I'm kind of the universal adapter when it comes to humor. I like almost all humor, so I get along with almost everybody on that.
I don't know how to do it in a way that's not fun. I love to have fun, and if it's not fun, I'm not interested.
There you go.
And if it's not fun, I make it fun. I'm sorry.
That's the way it should be.
That's how I work. But it's going to be fun with Mark Lawrenson
Nice.
at PI. And, yeah, we're going to have a good time. He's going to give us a lot of good information on practically integrating the 12 steps into your life. And it doesn't mean that a person has to be an alcoholic or an addict necessarily to integrate the 12 steps into their life. As we know from Al-Anon groups who are family members of the alcoholic, or Nar-Anon groups who are members of, or family members of Narcotics Anonymous members or addicts, anybody can do this. Family members and friends. Very important to look at what are we doing to recover.
Definitely.
Not just what is the addict or alcoholic doing to recover.
Well, and to be a good source of support, because there are good ways to be there for people, and there's probably not such good ways to be there for people. So you want to make sure that you're doing things that are helping and not hurting. And again, we're going to be visiting with Mark Lawrenson. We're going to call him in just a moment. And we're going to try to reach out to Dr. John Kelly as well. So if we can connect with him, we'll be hearing from him in a bit as well. I'm going to do everything I can to reach out and connect with him. And then we'll be wrapping things up here with Eric once again towards the end of the program. Thank you again for listening to Partners in Education. Matt, thank you again for being here.
Thank you, John.
I appreciate you joining me. This is always a lot of fun. Every month we get a chance to do this, and I really look forward to it each month because I learn a lot while I visit with you. And it's been really, I think, a nice thing to pass along to our listeners, because what a wonderful service that you guys are doing. And how much does it cost to go to this event tomorrow?
Great question. It's free.
Isn't that crazy?
And we're going to give you pie.
I know.
And light or heavy hors d'oeuvres.
So
there's going to be food, and you can't go wrong.
No, the pie alone is worth going just for that. But you go, you get a bunch of education as well, and the opportunity to meet some really great people and do some fellowship. And if this is something that you have happening in your life, if there's whether it's you or somebody that you know that's struggling with addiction, you couldn't ask for a better place to be tomorrow night. I mean, there's no better place in the world to be tomorrow night than at the bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. It's at 910 North Main Avenue. Easy for me to say. 910 North Main Avenue. I wonder how many bakeries have people just showing up saying, is this where they have that meeting?
I don't know.
It's at the bakery. No, it's a business called the bakery. They don't do any baking there, but they do cook up some great ideas. And once a month, we've got Partners in Education, which is pie at the bakery. And that is, again, tomorrow evening. So rather than lunch hour this month, it is in the evening, 6 p.m. to 7:30. Get there a little bit early, and we'll be reminding you of that here before we're done as well. Live streaming at thebakerysf.com/live. Matt, thanks again.
Thank you.
In a moment, we'll be visiting with Mark Lawrenson. That is on the way on Partners in Education on Sunny Radio, where it's always in the 80s.
Join us for Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This Thursday, we'll have another slice of pie with the topic 12-Step Recovery, Practical Approach, Proven Results. Listen to guest speaker Mark Lawrenson as he talks about his experience and his decision he made 32 years ago that has completely changed his life and has helped him help others as well. This month's program is on Thursday evening from 6 p.m. to 7:30 at the Bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. This event is free and even counts towards continuing education units with 1.5 CEUs from NADAC. If you or someone you know has an addiction, Keystone Treatment Center would like to help. Chances are your addiction will not go away on its own. Get the pain to stop and let the freedom begin. It starts with a call, 1-844-204-1055. That's toll free, 1-844-204-1055. Join us for Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education. This event is free and we'll even have pie. This Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7:30, come early for pie and hors d'oeuvres starting at 5:30. The bakery is located at 910 North Main Avenue in downtown Sioux Falls, or log in and watch the live streaming at thebakerysf.com/live.
And we're back right now with Partners in Education, also known as Pie at the Bakery. And a big reminder, again, tomorrow it is at a different time. So instead of the lunch hour, it is tomorrow evening from 6 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. at the Bakery, downtown Sioux Falls. And we have Mark Lawrenson on the line with us right now. Mark, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, John. Thank you.
Well, we appreciate you joining us today. Now, let's talk about 12-step recovery, practical approach, proven results. This is a system that works, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think I'm living proof of that.
And you get to speak tomorrow at this event. Now, do you do quite a few events like this?
Well, what I try to do, John, is any opportunity I get, I just like to convey some things to people about addiction and recovery, and just try to encourage people to try and get the help they need.
And one of the things that I can tell you that I have noticed working with the folks at Keystone and the people that are working with the people at Keystone is everybody that I've spoken to, that especially people who have been through the program, are absolutely passionate about helping others get through this program because they know what a difference it's made in their life. Now let's talk about what a difference it's made in your life.
Yeah, and probably no different than a lot of the stories that you've heard and that you're familiar with. Literally, this thing saved my life. It really did. Well, one of the things that I like being able to talk about, unlike a lot of people that tell their stories or give their testimonies and draw attention to themselves, I always like pointing out that this really is not about me. There's nothing special or unique about me or my recovery. The message I like to convey to people is more a message about the process of recovery itself. The message I like to convey is not that I recovered from alcoholism, but rather that anybody can recover from alcoholism. If they're given the right information and they are presented with the right process for recovery, the significant point I try to make is that anybody can duplicate the results that I've achieved.
And I like that you said the right process. And think about that for just a second here. When you look at a business that works well, it's because they have good processes and procedures in place. If you look at maybe a student that's doing well in school, it's because they do their homework and they have a process to get those things done. When you have a process in place, you achieve so much more. And this is a proven process that has worked hundreds and hundreds and probably thousands of times, maybe even millions of times. So for people who are listening that are going, I tried to quit drinking, or I tried to quit using drugs, but it just didn't work for me. It can work if they use the right process, can't it?
Oh, you are so right. You're exactly right. And to say millions of people have recovered following this process is not an exaggeration, because like I know you'll agree, in order to fix any problem, it takes two simple elements. You need a proper diagnosis of what exactly the problem is, and you also need an effective treatment or an effective solution.
Definitely.
If you think about how many people had a car problem and they spent hundreds of dollars with a mechanic and their car didn't run any better, well, he either misdiagnosed the problem or he was right about the problem, but he didn't fix it correctly. It's the same with people that don't find a solution to their medical problems or their computer problems. And I also believe that's where the breakdown is with a lot of approaches to treating addictions. Because, first of all, I don't think a lot of people understand what their problem really is. For instance, for 10 years, people tried to tell me I had a drinking problem. And I would respond by saying, I don't have a drinking problem. I drink great. But the problem with alcoholism, I found out, is not what makes me an alcoholic is not that I have a drinking problem so much as I have a drinking solution. The problem, it turned out, was a thinking problem, not a drinking problem. And that's why in 12-step recovery, it does not say restore us to sobriety. What it does say is restore us to sanity.
Yeah.
And once I made that connection that the deeper underlying problem that a lot of us have is with our thinking. It's our decision-making. And what made my life unmanageable was not my drinking, it was my thinking. Now, I made some pretty bad decisions when I was drunk. Some of those are a matter of public record. But I also made a lot of bad decisions stone cold sober. For instance, I was sober every time I decided to pick up that first drink.
Yeah.
And I can't blame the booze for that one. And beyond that, I think that we, in my case, I made a lot of bad sober decisions that contributed to pain pain and misery and guilt and shame and fear and resentment to the point where I literally had to drink, not to get crazy, but to maintain my sanity. And
Wow.
that's the catch-22 of addiction, is to people like me, I never perceived alcohol or drugs as my problem because to me, they were my answer.
Again, visiting right now with Mark Lawrenson. He will actually be the speaker tomorrow at Partners in Education. And again, program note, the program, instead of being over the lunch hour like it has been in recent months and since January, tomorrow's program is going to actually be in the evening. It's going to be from 6 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. It's still going to be at the bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. In addition to pie, there's also going to be some heavy hors d'oeuvres down there as well. So you'll be able to have some hors d'oeuvres. There's a presentation, and there's also network and fellowship. So networking is a wonderful thing to get a chance to visit with other people, whether you're someone who maybe is working in this profession. If you are, good news, 1.5 CEUs are available from this as well, from NADAC. Now, if you don't know what that means, it doesn't apply to you. But if you know what that means, it definitely applies to you. So the good news is, like I said, this is a great opportunity, and the price is right as well. It's absolutely free. The event is coming up tomorrow, again, from 6 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. And our guest on the phone right now is the keynote speaker, Mark Lawrenson. And the program is called 12-Step Recovery, Practical Approach, Proven Results. We've been talking a little bit about that right now. Let's talk a little bit about those proven results, because we talked to you a little bit about the situation you were in. Now, it's been a while since you've had that last drink, hasn't it?
Absolutely. I've managed to stay sober now for over 32 years. But
Awesome.
The real miracle of recovery is often misunderstood also, because the miracle is not that we stay sober a long time so much as we want to stay sober a long time.
Yeah.
And that's the part of the critical process of recovery is not that we change our mind, but we change our hearts. And to have a change of heart, a change of desire, I think is really the miracle of this thing, where the great news of recovery, if we do it right, is not that we have to give up anything. Because the real miracle is I get to do exactly what I want to do. I just find as time goes on, I want to do different things.
Yeah.
Why did I drink? Because I wanted to. Why don't I drink today? It's because I don't want to.
So it's not so much just that you quit drinking, but you quit drinking and started thinking. And when you're thinking clearly, you make better decisions.
Exactly. You're exactly right, John. And you see, that's, again, part of the process of recovery that I think often gets misunderstood. Because if a person is sober against their will, where they're not drinking but they want to, if that overwhelming compulsion, if that desire is still present, then they're fighting something a lot larger than themselves. And they're probably not going to win.
Especially if you're tackling that on your own, which is crazy because you've got so many people that want to help you. So if you're in a situation where you're struggling and you're fighting against this addiction and you're not winning, right now is a great time to say, you know what, I'm going to get, instead of saying I'm going to fight this on my own, I'm going to get on the team that has a whole lot of people that have gone through this successfully, that have been able to go down this road and help. And what a great opportunity it is. They can either join us tomorrow night at Pie at the Bakery, or they can certainly reach out to the folks at Keystone. And, if you're in a situation where you're looking for help, or maybe you just know somebody that's looking for help, don't wait until tomorrow. I mean, make the call today.
Oh, exactly. And you are so right about all of that, because I've often thought that perhaps one of the biggest defects of character that kills people like me, beyond the anger or the fear or any of those, I really think that it's the procrastination. Because a lot of us, it's not that we say no to recovery. We believe in the process even. We want to get well. But what we say is not no, but rather not yet. Someday I'm going to do this. Someday I'm going to get well. Someday I'm going to get my act together. And that day never comes. And that's why the best time to seek help is immediately.
That's right. Someday does not exist on the calendar. You're not going to see someday anywhere. It never exists. That never happens. So do it today, whether it's today, Wednesday, or tomorrow, Thursday, or whatever day today happens to be for you. That's the day that you want to do it. Again, visiting right now with our keynote speaker for tomorrow's Pie at the Bakery event. We're again visiting with Mark Lawrenson. And Mark, let's talk a little more about 32 years ago, you made this decision. What brought you to making the decision to say, I'm going to quit drinking and I'm going to start thinking clearly? What was it that led you to that decision?
Well, and there's a lot of elements, and certainly pain was one of the main ones. I was, traditionally we say, we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And they also talk about hitting some kind of a bottom. But the problem with that particular verbiage is that if a person is an alcoholic or an addict, every time we use is a bottom. I mean, my life was like falling down a flight of stairs. I kept hitting bottom after bottom after bottom. So what really happened to me, and what has happened to all of the people I know who have recovered successfully, is the process they really went through started with something that I call a moment of clarity, a flash of honesty, this eternal instant, this moment of truth where I had this experience where I really came to myself, as they say in the story of the prodigal son. He came to himself. I woke up. I just had this moment where it was like all of the lies and the deceptions in my head were held at bay long enough so I could see what my real problem was. And for the first time that I can ever remember, it wasn't anybody else's fault. I could blame my parents, I could blame my brother, I could blame my bosses at work, I could blame law enforcement. But the revelation that I had the day I got sober was there was nobody left to blame, because I had systematically eliminated so many of my scapegoats. I've shoved them out of my life, and there was nobody left but Jack Daniels and me. So, so the hitting bottom was a part of it, but really hitting bottom was just the painful part of the process that really forced me to get honest and to look at myself.
Well, I'm sure looking back now, it's probably very clear that you made the right choice and the right decision. But do you remember being on the other side of that decision, looking forward to it? Was it an easy decision to make, or was it a thing where you went into this with some trepidation, or how difficult was it to make that choice and finally do something about it?
Well, and that is an excellent question. And there's another saying that says when your solution becomes your problem, you need a new solution. And what made it's never easy to change. It's never easy to be honest and look at ourselves. It's never easy to get sober or to go through this. But I finally realized that it was even harder and more painful to not do it. And that's the part that ironically made it actually easier. Because it's hard to recover, but it's also hard being an addict or an alcoholic. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of sacrifice. So once I gained enough clarity to realize that pain is inevitable, there's no pain-free option here. But at least I learned that I had the power to choose the source of my pain.
Very nice.
It was going to hurt to get well. It was going to hurt to not get well. It's kind of like going to the dentist. I don't like going to the dentist and having checkups and getting my teeth cleaned and have cavities filled. But, it hurts even more if I don't go.
Definitely.
I'd rather have my teeth cleaned than have them pulled out.
Well, and like you were talking about is, there's an expense to having the addiction. It costs money, but it could cost more than money as well. It could cost your family. It could cost your job. It could even cost your life. So think about how expensive that could be.
Oh, you're exactly right, John. And that's where, with all addictions, you get into a point of diminishing returns. As long as alcohol was doing so many things for me, I didn't care what it did to me. It was worth paying the price as long as I was getting a lot of positive results from it. But again, once I had those positive benefits reduced, and it's almost like fishing. I ended up with all hook and no bait.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you're fishing, bait is a good thing for fish. It's food. And the bait doesn't hurt the fish. It's the hook inside that gets them. And you see, there were some things that made alcohol and that drinking lifestyle attractive. But eventually I ended up with all hook and no bait. There wasn't a lot of attraction in those last years.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time to visit with us today. Again, our guest today is Mark Lawrenson. He will be the guest speaker tomorrow night at Pie at the Bakery, and the topic this month is 12-Step Recovery, Practical Approach, Proven Results. Now, in addition to your personal journey, one of the things that I think is really neat is you've helped many other people on this journey as well, haven't you?
Well, and, you know, I've tried to do that, or at least I've tried to communicate to people the things that other people were so generous in giving me. And I just want to help people by passing on the information that was passed on to me, because the information that they gave me early on saved my life. And I feel an obligation to help other people to understand not only addiction, but recovery and how to do that for themselves. I think that's a great thing. And by helping other people, it really helps me more than it helps them.
Well, thank you for doing what you're doing. And I can tell just by visiting with you that, again, that this really means something to you. So thank you very much for not just getting the help yourself, but also paying it forward and helping others. That's a wonderful thing, and I'm so proud of you that you're doing that.
Oh, and it's an honor. So I appreciate your appreciation, but it is an honor for me to be able to do that.
Well, thank you again for being my guest on the program, and looking forward to the program tomorrow night. And thanks again for chatting with me.
Oh, and thank you for what you do, John. I appreciate it, too.
Again, our guest today, Mark Lawrenson, and tomorrow night at the bakery, we've got Pie at the Bakery. And if that sounds funny to hear me say tomorrow night, you're right. It usually is over the lunch hour, but tomorrow, be there by about 5:30. That's when the heavy hors d'oeuvres are going to start, and that's when they'll be dishing up the pie. You don't want to miss that. And then at 6 p.m., that's when the presentation will begin. And then at 7:30, networking and fellowship. So if you get a chance, join us. Again, the event is tomorrow evening. All of the details can be found on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Sunny Radio. And we have a link to all of the details there. And there's also a live stream. So if you can't make it tomorrow night, but you want to be able to log in and see it, all of those details are on our Facebook page as well. Stick around. We're going to wrap things up in just a bit on another episode of Partners in Education on Sunny Radio.
Join us for Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education, sponsored by Keystone Treatment Center, NAMI, and the Bakery. This Thursday, we'll have another slice of pie with the topic 12-Step Recovery, Practical Approach, Proven Results. Listen to guest speaker Mark Lawrenson as he talks about his experience and his decision he made 32 years ago that has completely changed his life and has helped him help others as well. This month's program is on Thursday evening from 6 p.m. to 7:30 at the Bakery in downtown Sioux Falls. This event is free and even counts towards continuing education units with 1.5 CEUs from NADAC. If you or someone you know has an addiction, Keystone Treatment Center would like to help. Chances are your addiction will not go away on its own. Get the pain to stop and let the freedom begin. It starts with a call, 1-844-204-1055. That's toll free, 1-844-204-1055. Join us for Pie at the Bakery. That's Partners in Education. This event is free and we'll even have pie. This Thursday from 6 p.m. to 7:30, come early for pie and hors d'oeuvres starting at 5:30. The bakery is located at 910 North Main Avenue in downtown Sioux Falls, or log in and watch the live streaming at thebakerysf.com/live.
And welcome back to Partners in Education. We appreciate you joining us. Once again on the line, we have Eric Miller from Keystone Treatment Center. Eric, thanks for joining me again, sir.
Yeah, John.
And now, one of the things that I want to kind of visit with you a little bit about here is Keystone Treatment Center. That's kind of the standard. That is the gold standard when it comes to having, if you have an addiction and you need some help. Keystone is a name that's known not just in the Sioux Falls area, not just in the Sioux City area, but in the entire country. That's a name that people know and trust, and that really, one of the things that sets you guys apart is the history that you have and the attention to detail that you have. But that's not something that you find everywhere, is it?
No, it's not. And in fact, that's part of, why we value this opportunity with the partnership and the Partners in Education series is trying to get good information out there to folks. Because what we're really dealing with here is life and death issues. And we are kind of in this age of the internet and, where I can Google almost anything and instantaneously receive information, is that, there's no filters built into that on how good or valuable or valid that information that we're obtaining from those searches. And the same thing is in our industry. Part of what this 12 steps focus is with Dr. Kelly. I mean, it showed scientifically that, from a treatment process that, that 12-step model is twice as successful long-term in desired outcomes, which is continued sobriety and recovery for people, and it comes at half the cost. And, and yet in this day and age, you could Google things on the 12 steps, and there's all kinds of disinformation on there that it doesn't work, and that it's a cult, and just all over the map in terms of people that are counter to that message, but yet they don't offer really any clear alternative that does work.
Yeah.
And again, that's what I love about Mark's whole deal is proven results. It's a practical approach, and it's proven, just like Keystone has for 43 years. And we're also in a day and age when we have unlicensed facilities can masquerade around and publicize themselves as being treatment centers. They attack the medical model that Keystone adheres to, in terms of that we treat a medical condition, that we're dealing with a disease of addiction. And that's, downright scary when it comes to the opiate epidemic that we're currently, have in place here. And, if we're not dealing with it from a medical standpoint, I mean, we can kill people,
yeah.
In terms of the detox. So to me, it's just critical that we try to get good information out and, be available as resources for folks. And we work every day, each day, each week, 7 days, 24 hours a day. We're available as that resource, Keystone is, and has been now for over 40 years. So I'm just really grateful and honored to kind of be a part of that process. But it is critical, and I think, why shows like what we're doing here are critical, is to get that good information out and to combat some of the disinformation that we come into contact with each day out there in the field.
Well, and the sad thing is, there are people that with the internet, you can say things on the internet that are not true. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So
I guess you can say it over radio waves too. I mean, it's just amazing some of the things as I travel through our main 11 state, where we have direct marketing efforts for Keystone alone, let alone Acadia, which is, we're the largest treatment mental health provider on the planet, of just the type of information and messaging that a person can hear out there being presented as if, it's factual or it's scientific, and it's just not.
Well, and that's the nice thing about with this particular company, with Keystone, with Acadia, is they're not going to give misinformation. They're going to give true information, and they truly do want to help, and they've been around a long time, and you don't become one of the leading names in this industry by doing it the wrong way. You get that, you earn that by doing it the right way. And I commend you guys for all the help that you've given hundreds of people, thousands of people over the last 40 years. That's something you need to be very proud of.
Yeah, we have over 23,000 alumni from our inpatient treatment program alone. And
Wow.
and again, I'm willing to. We're always willing to learn and listen and to counter ideas. But to me, it's more important is what do you base that argument on, or what do you base that information on? Is it factual or not? You present alternatives that scientific. And to this point, the simplicity and the power of these 12 steps has changed so many lives, and it's probably in this century, the past 100 years, is probably the most impactful approach for dealing with addiction and alcoholism that ever touched this planet. And so really looking forward to Mark's presentation and his practical experience with that for over 3 decades.
Well, it was fun to visit with him, and it was great to visit with you as well. And we'll chat again next month. Thank you so much, Eric.
Yeah, John, you have yourself a great rest of your day, sir.
Definitely. Again, right there, Eric Miller, and he is with Keystone Treatment Center. And here's your invitation. If you haven't heard it the last 15 times we said it, you're invited to join us tomorrow at the Bakery in Sioux Falls for a fun event called Partners in Education. And the reason I say fun, even though you're going to be there learning stuff, there's a fun way to learn things. And if you didn't get it by listening to Mark Lawrenson when we were chatting on the radio just a little bit ago, he's a very fun guy, and I think he's going to make this a very fun way to learn. And there's pie involved. How could you beat that? So get out there at about 5:30 tomorrow evening. They've got some heavy hors d'oeuvres and pie. And then at 6 p.m., pie at the bakery starts. That's Partners in Education. And 6:30 is the presentation. 6 o'clock is the presentation. 7:30 networking and fellowship. And you can also live stream it. Now, you're going to miss out on the pie, and you're going to miss out on the fellowship and networking, but you can still live stream it and at least get some of the information by doing that at thebakerysf.com/live. Thank you for listening to another edition of Partners in Education on Sunny Radio, where it's always in the 80s. Have a great day.